Hello and welcome to FTW Philly, presented by Temple University. I'm your host, Marissa Magnata, joined by this lovely gal next to me, Rosemary Kelly, trying to catch them all. How are you?
I'm doing well, Marissa. It's been so long since I've been able to see your beautiful face.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, hey, we have a huge show ahead of us. First, we're going to meet some local creators who are using their knowledge and sharing it with students around the area. Plus, if you are into the competitive scene, we're going to share some secrets of how you can get up close and personal during the next event. And I peeked ahead at your gaming news, and I saw something about cheese. I'm going to need to have all the details right now.
You got it, Marissa. So, cheese. What's with cheese? Why was Marissa talking about cheese? Well, I'm here to tell you exactly what we're talking about. Nerd Street Gamers is well within the thick of things in their Winter Championship series, and one of the games that they are featuring in that Winter Championship series is StarCraft. So cheese, StarCraft, what do those things have in common? Well, you got some cheese strats in there, but that's not what these players were playing. January 23rd to 24th, lots of top players qualified from over 3 previous qualifiers to compete in the competition on that weekend. However, it was Bune that came out on top. Bune went undefeated in the group stage, but had increasingly more difficult matchups in the playoff rounds. Faced the likes of Bunny, Showdown, Clem, and eventually had to take down Solar in a 4-1 in the finals to win first and $3,500. Nerd Street Gamers is partnering with Philadelphia Parks and Recreation in a first-of-its-kind move to bring esports to kids all over the city. This is a step Nerd Street Gamers is taking to help ease the strain of the pandemic while traditional avenues of activity aren't available. This free 6-week NBA 2K21 tournament is for kids ages 13 to 18 and kicks off on February 16th. Plus, all registered participants get a free 3-month subscription to Nerd Street Plus so they can keep on gaming. Coming out of local news, now we have some news that's worldwide. We're talking about the Valorant Champions Tour. The start of the Valorant Champions Tour kicked off this past weekend in North America with qualifiers for the Challengers tier of the Valorant Champions Tour. The top 8 teams have advanced to the closed qualifier of the Challengers happening this weekend. Those teams are Immortals, Team Envy, Sentinels, NRG, Andbox, Luminosity, Xset, and Genji. The top 4 teams from the closed Challengers qualifiers this weekend will directly advance to the second Challengers closed qualifiers for a chance to earn their spot in the Masters tournament in March. There's other chances to qualify and a lot more Valorant action to be had as qualifiers in North America continue throughout the month of February and competition starts in other regions of the world. In other tactical shooter news, Beast Coast, a North American esports organization, has acquired Tempo Storm's Rainbow Six Siege Pro League spot. Known for fielding teams and players for Dota 2, Teamfight Tactics, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Valorant, this is showing us that Beast Coast is going to be going a little bit more into the Rainbow Six scene. This acquisition moves Beast Coast from the Challengers League, the second tier of competition, to the top of competition in the Pro League. We can't wait to see what this roster does. In Overwatch League news, well, I don't really have good news for you this time around, but the Los Angeles Valiant are moving over to the APAC region. Who are they bringing with them? That's the big question that we all have on our minds, because on January 29th, the Los Angeles Valiant dropped their entire roster. That means they dropped their players, they dropped their staff, and they cited visa issues as the primary cause. I'm gonna go ahead and call malarkey on this one, just because there was plenty of time and awareness that the Los Angeles Valiant had to be able to make these changes and adjustments, knowing that they were going to be moving regions, especially with the roster of players that they had built up over previous iterations and seasons. This means that popular players like KSP and Agilities likely aren't going to be competing in Overwatch League 2021, since most rosters are solidified by this point, as teams needed to have at least 7 players by January 4th. So now I'm really curious to see what the Los Angeles Valiant are going to do and whether or not we are actually going to be able to see players like Agilities make it into the Overwatch League for season 2021.
Welcome to Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I'm Darth Mike coming to you from a snowy day on a Halo ring, and it's cold out there, so let's charge up those plasma pistols for warmth and share a steaming hot cup of news. 343 Industries have revealed a gun that will not be making the trip into the next installment in the Halo franchise, Halo Infinite, when it ships later this year. The shotgun. Instead, it'll be replaced by a lesser version that is slightly less powerful with a faster fire rate named the Bulldog. And this is a bold move from 343. The shotgun is iconic. It's been with the series all the way back to the first installment in Combat Evolved, and it's one of the most iconic guns in gaming. I mean, there's never been a better feel than mowing through a horde of Flood with that powerful pump shotty. Now, 343 claims the reason they're removing the gun from the game is that it just wasn't played that much, especially in multiplayer in previous Halo entries. But based on my anecdotal evidence from every Halo LAN party I've ever attended, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that point. Last week, it was Gabe Newell. This week, it's Elon Musk discussing the applications of brain-computer interfaces in gaming. And while Newell was more focused on the video game side of things, Musk revealed in talking about the work of his company Neuralink that they've implanted chips in the brains of monkeys to enable them to play games in their minds. At this point, the games are pretty simple. They're aiming for Pong, so it may be a while yet before you're online and a monkey is destroying you in StarCraft. But the technology is tantalizing, and it feels like it's getting closer and closer to a day where we shed our meat peripherals and enter a world where the only limitation on gaming are our own brains. It's a wild concept. It feels like sci-fi, but when you have these kind of moguls devoting huge resources to developing it, the world of tomorrow may be ready today. Warner Brothers have applied for a patent on their Nemesis system, made famous in games like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. The Nemesis system was a program that created AI-generated enemies who then battled with the player character and changed and grew depending on their interactions. It created for some really fun emergent storytelling and gameplay ideas that felt unique to each player's save file and really created engaging games. Now, putting a patent on that might stifle other developers from exploring similar ideas, but to be quite frank, this is probably a horses already out of the barn type of situation, as software patents like this are notoriously hard to enforce, and unless other game developers directly copy the homework of Warner Brothers here, they're gonna be A-okay. Google announced they are shutting down their Stadia game development team in another blow to big tech's attempts to take over the video game industry. It turns out you can't just throw time and money at this in the same way you would a traditional tech problem. You need the creativity. Game development is as much an art form as it is a science, and unless you can crack that code and find the fun, it's not going to be a product worth having. And apparently there were no products worth having from the Stadia game dev team because they didn't release any, at least nothing of note, and they apparently had no real long-term projects in the works either that made Google convinced that it was worth continuing to pay them to run. We've already seen the failures with Amazon Game Studios, that they've released dud after dud and then immediately shut the games down. But it just goes to show you can't fix this or run this like a traditional tech company. Stadia will continue to exist as a game streaming platform. It'll just carry other developers' games. We'll have to see how long that one can last or if it'll quickly follow the game studio out the door. IKEA has unveiled a line of gaming-related furniture as part of a partnership with Asus ROG, including a cup holder that clamps onto your desk to hold mugs of tea. It's only available in China right now, but as a gamer whose body is made up of about half tea at any one time, let me tell you, this is the kind of product my people want. I cannot wait for this one to go international. That's it for this week on Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. Now, it looks like this snow is going to be falling for a while, so I'm going to go brew a fresh mug of tea for my cup holder and enjoy the old shotgun while I still can.
Okay, Marissa, I want you to do a little bit of role play with me real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna be Asus and I want you to be IKEA.
Got it.
All right, so hey IKEA, I got a question for you. We need to make something great for PC gamers. I've got an idea for you, and I think we should make a cup holder.
A coffee cup holder, right?
I guess, is that what gamers drink?
It needs a space for a handle.
I mean, honestly.
You hearing me?
I'm hearing you, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but like as a consumer, I'm not buying it. Marissa, you've got to tell me more about like why this is innovative.
Well, as a professional who works in an industry with a lot of people who drink coffee and a lot of people who have spilled coffee, taken entire radio stations off of the air, I am full 100% on board with this item. Hey, if they created the little clip that goes on your car vent that you get to dip your like chicken nugget sauce in, why not have a holder for your coffee cup?
Why not have a holder for your coffee cup? I mean, I maybe I can get behind it, but I'd have to get a different desk to make it work. For now...
Well, you better get it soon because you're probably going to get this for Christmas. Just saying.
Thanks, Marissa, in advance. Well, our next segment has nothing to do with coffee, but it has a lot to do with creatives. We're going to be taking a closer look at some women that are creating games in the space and also teaching others how to do the same.
Becoming a game designer seemed so unachievable. It seemed like that's a thing other people do. That's something that has been established. It's hard to get into.
I turned 30 and I said, I want to do something that really makes me happy. And, you know, I play video games every night, and I have played video games every single night since I was a child. There's always been that in the back of my head of how do these things work?
I started really getting into art in elementary school to middle school, and I was experimenting with Photoshop and 3D designing, but I ended up going into college for illustration. In my time at college, rediscovered my love for games through talking with more people in general and getting a wider idea for what the industry actually was. I started to discover that I was really enjoying the process that went into game creation.
So there's a lot of stuff before you get into the game development that's kind of just on paper.
Writing down any sort of ideas, story blurb, a character concept, or a game mechanic. And then from there, it would go into compiling, actually building the setting, whether it's 2D or 3D, in either Unreal or the Unity engine.
A game engine basically is the core of a game. It's got your physics, it has any basics. It's what can get you started creating a game. It's basically a game itself. You go in and you drag your character onto a screen, and you can give that character a skin.
As the last couple of years have changed, the accessibility, putting the tools in the hands of people who normally would not have had accessibility to the tools has made it that there's been a bit of a boom in actual creating of games. So we're getting all of these different types of games and all of these different places to share these games and share these sort of experiences.
You know, you have Ubisoft kind of creating the same game in all of their spheres. You had Call of Duty coming out every year. You know, first-person shooters, things like that. So the thing about indie games is that all of a sudden you have people playing exploration games, and you have people playing really thought-provoking games and puzzle games, and these are games that you want to play with other people and you want to share with them.
What indie games bring to the table is definitely more representation for groups who are normally not seen. They tend to be stories that you don't hear the AAA companies doing, either because they don't fit into what the mass fandoms for those companies go for, and they tend to just be more personal experiences.
This is your time and this is your dedication, and eventually this is your soul that you're putting into a project, a creative, and you're allowing people to experience that.
A lot of my games focus on getting the player to understand a character's experience. I focus a lot on the LGBT community and how we tell our stories. The end goal for the types of games and the games that I want to create is I want to create something that someone can see and feel seen, where they see themselves in the character.
Pascal not gonna remember me either? This is really sad.
The overwhelming emotion that you can feel about something that you have spent hours on, and you have been the catalyst of why things are happening in that environment. I want to create games that make people feel. There's a lot of good that can be done with that technology, and it's more than just sitting in front of a screen with a controller in your hand. if you're interested in creating a video game, the information and the resources are there for you to be successful. So I always say just get in there and try it.
Always keep creating, always keep writing down your ideas, because you never know, some idea that might just seem like a throwaway line could become the structure of your next big project. For as much passion as I see in my students, it drives me to keep doing what I work. For as much inspiration, it is contagious. Just seeing them have those eureka moments where suddenly everything they've been working on fits and they have something that they're proud of is something that I've started to become proud of as myself, because it shows that I'm helping the new generation of people who are going to become storytellers. Drop this down, hit play.
So I got a chance to sit down and talk with Lindsey during the roundtable discussion in For the Win Philly Season 1, where we had this discussion about what it means to be a woman in the gaming space. And from that conversation plus this segment, I am still inspired by the way that Lindsey is able to create this identity for themselves through video game creation, but also with the video games that they creates this identity for other people too.
Yeah, there are so many aspects of this industry for people to find and create within, including the competitive gaming. Now look, I've been at the Wells Fargo Center for the craziest rock show, the most insane boy band concert, don't make fun of me, even like a Stanley Cup final game with the Flyers, and the energy of those don't even compare to the Overwatch League Grand Finals. So if that's your scene and you want to get up close and personal, we've got some secrets to share to you. Coming up next.
The esports community has nearly tripled in popularity since 2015, gaining hundreds of millions of fans across the world. This billion-dollar industry is now finding mainstream acceptance, with some of its most popular tournaments airing on network television. Coverage of esports events are being nominated for Emmy Awards. There's even talk of esports joining the Olympic Games. With all of this buzz surrounding the industry, the question arises: where and how can you enjoy esports? Esports cover a vast array of genres, from first-person shooters to fighting games, sports to strategy, to multiplayer online battle arenas. Chances are, if you're a fan of competition, there's an esport you'll enjoy. Let's take a look at some of the most popular current esports titles. Released in 2016, Overwatch quickly became one of the most popular games in esports. In this team-based multiplayer first-person shooter, teams are made up of 6 heroes with specialized skill sets. Players must work together to secure and defend control points on the map or escort a payload. League of Legends is one of the most established titles in esports. With tournaments and leagues around the world, this multiplayer online battle arena, or MOBA, is one of the most pivotal titles that helped to establish esports as a legitimate industry. Single-player fighting games such as Tekken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat offer intense head-to-head competition. Whether it's a 1 vs 1 or 4-player free-for-all, fighting games are the fast-paced option for esports fans. Other popular esports titles include first-person team shooter games like Call of Duty, battle royale games like Fortnite, and sports titles such as Madden NFL. The list of esports titles is constantly expanding to offer more options for fans to enjoy. Professional esports tournaments are becoming increasingly common and accessible. With streaming services like Twitch and YouTube, you can watch live streams of smaller tournaments from around the world. For the biggest events in the industry, network broadcast offers coverage. If you're looking for live, in-person events, many cities are establishing professional esports teams for a multitude of games. These events provide some of the most electric atmospheres in live sporting events, reaching Super Bowl levels of excitement. If you're looking for fast-paced team action, check out the Overwatch League. Teams like the Philadelphia Fusion, Los Angeles Valiant, and San Francisco Shock are established in major cities and compete in a regular season and playoff format just like physical sports. In addition to trophies, players can win millions of dollars in prize money. The largest esports league in the world is the League of Legends Championship Series. Teams like Team Liquid, CLG, and FlyQuest compete in multiple group stages before the highest ranked seeds continue on to a double elimination playoff bracket. North American teams compete in the NALCS, but Championship Series leagues can be found around the globe. The EVO Championship Series, the world's premier fighting game event, has been held for over 20 years. Hosting competitors from all over the world, this double elimination tournament features 9 of the most most prestigious fighting games. The new kid on the esports block is the Call of Duty League. Only one season after the league was established, the 12 teams are transitioning from a 5 versus 5 playstyle to the leaner 4 versus 4. The biggest prize pool in esports history belongs to Dota 2 and the International 10. Over $40 million was raised for TI-10. An achievement made even more impressive as Dota 2 now claims the top 6 largest esports prize pools of all time. The easiest way to connect with esports is by playing online. Online tournaments are great ways for you to practice your skills, compete with others, and join the community. Amateur level tournaments are available for games such as Overwatch, League of Legends, Call of Duty, Super Smash Bros., and more. Finding a tournament is as simple as a quick internet search, and new events are held every day. For local events, check out game shops, schools, and gaming groups in your area. In some areas, local host locations are open for players to enjoy gaming in a casual, public environment. Some local hosts even offer opportunities for amateurs to hone their skills through training programs, as well as in-person and online tournaments for players to compete against others. For those looking to compete at a professional level, schools and local game shops may have a competitive team already established. Joining a team is a great way to begin your journey toward a professional level of competition. Streaming your gameplay on websites such as Twitch is another great way to showcase your skills and build your online presence. Whether you want to become a professional esports player or you just want to learn more about an exciting, growing industry, being part of the community is essential. Forums are available for fans and players to interact. Social media is a key source of communication, and attending events is a great way to meet new people. Reach out to local resources or watch the next tournament, but don't miss out on the exciting industry that is esports.
They mentioned social media at the end of that. I definitely recommend following Nerd Street Gamers, of course, and NBC Sports Philadelphia for any competitive events that are happening here in the area. Anyone else we should recommend?
Definitely recommend following the developers of the games that you love to play, as well as the leagues that are promoting those games that have those competitive elements to them, such as the Overwatch League.
Yeah, and the two of us, of course. Definitely.
Of course.
Well, for Rosemary and for the team behind FTW Philly, presented by Temple University, I'm your host, Marissa Magnata, and we'll see you next time.